Birds flying high, you know how I feel. Sun in the sky, you know how I feel. Breeze drifting on by, you know how I feel. It's a new dawn. It's a new day, it's a new life. And I'm feeling good. Fish in the sea, you know how I feel. River running free, you know how I feel. Blossom on the tree, you know how I feel. It's a new day, it's a new
Welcome back, Goat Locker fans. It's Friday, and that means truck racing. After a short off week to catch some Bristol action, we are right back to it with the Veterans for Life Racing Truck Series. Last time we were on track was at the Atlanta Superspeedway, where we saw our third different winner in 3 races. Will Milwaukee bring us our 4th visitor to Victory Lane? Let's find out as we watch round 4, and you'll see all the action of the 15 race season right here on V-Speed. I'm Joey Atterbury, and joining me in the booth tonight is Eddie Smith. And guess what? We've also got Eddie working the controls as our producer tonight, so you're going to be punching a lot of buttons, doing a lot of stuff for us behind the scenes. I'm really happy to have you here, but you know this group better than anybody else, Eddie. What kind of racing do you think we're going to get out of them here at Milwaukee?
Well, we're going to go to a high bank track of Atlanta to a flat 1 miler at Milwaukee. Still, to your point you made earlier before we went live, is it still provides some pretty good racing. And I think with this group of drivers, I think the kind of racing that we're going to see is always dependent on the drivers. And these guys are just some of the best so far this season. 3 different winners, and I would not be surprised if we got a 4th.
Mentioned 3 different winners. It all started off at the Talladega Super Speedway down there in Alabama, and then we hit Nashville, and then after that we went to Atlanta. Now the only difference that you see on the schedule is that there is a bye week that was scheduled for what would be next week, and it's kind of just shifted around a little bit. So we didn't actually race Bristol on September 20th. We are here on the 27th at the Milwaukee Mile, and then we'll basically sub in that off week here after this week. But then after that, it gets very complicated. Dover, Fast Track, Watkins Glen, the road course. You see Phoenix, kind of another short track. And then at the end of the first 10 rounds, we go into those playoffs. So I'm curious if we are going to get that fourth driver that is going to guarantee his way into the playoffs here tonight. And speaking of the Milwaukee Mile, Eddie, I believe we've got our track graphic as well.
Yeah, the Milwaukee Mile. I mean, it's one of the oldest tracks in America. I mean, it's at the Wisconsin State Fair. It opened in 1903. It's actually wrong there on the graphic. It opened 121 years ago, Joey. So that is an old track. It's lost a lot of its racing, but the Truck Series still goes there. IndyCar still goes there. So it still has a race, and I think it's one of the only tracks in America that I think there has been a race at every single year since 1903 outside of World War II. So a lot of history at a track like this, and tonight we're going to make a little bit more.
And I think when I think of Milwaukee, I think of relatively flat out there, and it is very, very bumpy. So it's going to be up to the drivers and kind of where they place their truck and what the optimal racing line is going to be, not just over kind of those short runs, but also those full, long green flag runs. We do have qualifying going on the racetrack right now with a few more minutes left, but what we're going to do is jump over, listen to the national anthem performed by Navy veteran Jared Ashley.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say, does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave?
Well, a beautiful rendition of our national anthem. And just as we have wrapped that up, qualifying has actually wrapped up on the track as well. So we have your starting grid, starting with the Jam Printing and Promotion Pole Award. It goes to the driver of the number 07, Patrick Drabick. He will lead the field to the green flag. Mike George going to be lined up next to him in P2 with Jamie Barkas in third place and David E. Duke in fourth. Levi McCarty starting fifth with Jake Ham next to him in sixth. Logan Sturgeon in seventh with George Jewell in eighth. Jamie Mullins and Jake Ellingson round out row number 5.
Oh, yeah. And then in 11th, it's going to be Scott Phelps with Cody McElwain in 12th. In 13th, Chance Taylor with Jeremy Garner in the 14th position. In 15th, Jesse Nekula with Craig Von Traeger in 16th. 17th, Daniel Cunningham, James Goshen in 18th. 19th, Timothy Stubblefield and Stephen McDonald.
Got a few more across the page here. Howie DiSavino, last race winner, will start in 21st. Brandon Wallace in 22nd. James Kaufman, 23rd. Chuck Phelps in 24th, with Matt Knights back here in 25th. And a few more on the entry sheet. I see the number 25, the number 73, and the 33. That includes Andrew Chapman, Jeremiah Holt, and Tyler Justice. I see 28 entries here for the Veterans for Life Racing Truck Series. It's always great to see. We're just waiting for this pace car to slowly roll out of the box. We're only going to be doing should be one pace lap. But Eddie, do you see that it's standing room only here for Goat Locker Racing at Milwaukee? What a better way to represent, kind of like Nasty's Restaurant and Bar.
Heck yeah. Hey, look, pile them in. Let's bring them all in. Let's close the doors behind them and lock it like the glorious bastards, and we'll keep them all in here for the whole 115 laps. It's going to be a show. It's going to be a lot of fun. This place hard to pass. I'm excited to see how these guys navigate this track, this flat track. Where you run at the bottom, where you run in the middle, where you dominate a little bit, where you run it backwards. I think we'll see a couple of those guys tonight. So it's going to be fun. 115 laps. This will be a dang good time.
Just patiently waiting. There goes the pace car off to officially start our action here at the Milwaukee Mile for what is round number 4. We've had quite a different landscape of races between Talladega, Nashville, and Atlanta. I'm really curious because this is really the first true flat track that we're going to see here this season. Now, of course, we do go to the road courses like Watkins Glen, and I see other tracks on the schedule such as Pocono, relatively flat but extremely high speed. When we talk about the short tracks, though, and the flat short tracks, Milwaukee Mile is definitely a little bit of a variable as we see our race details down there. Going to be doing 115 laps. Pit road speed 45 miles an hour. There are a few sets of sticker tires available to these drivers, and they're going to be using it. 2 green-white checkered attempts, and as always, no fast repairs available out there. Looks like the pace car is going to be diving off, hitting the inside, and look at that. Our pole sitter, Patrick Drabick, does not get away very well. Lots of wheel spin, but now he gets a nice hole shot. He's going to lose it in front of the field. There goes the 07. We're going to get a yellow flag already. Contact with another car. Your pole sitter finds himself in the wall in turn number 1.
Unbelievable. I did not expect that at all, but yeah, I mean, you recalled it. He got a little bit loose, and then it just completely kept going around. Cold tires, it'll bite you, and at a place like this, with it being flat, you don't have that banking to try to grab onto. Let's take a look at that, just kind of see. We were watching it, but I don't want to watch it from his point of view as cameraman doing terrible work. But he spins his tires on the start there, Joey, and I wonder if that didn't help with what happened over here in turn 1.
Yeah, I mean, I know I was a little late to call it, but you're right. He spun the tires on the initial launch and then got a good kind of hole shot going into turn number 1. But I fear that the hole shot going into turn number 1 was actually Drabick missing the brake marker and just blowing the corner. And then you see the result of it, just too much speed. I couldn't make out the number of the truck that made the impact with him up there at the wall. It looked like a black and red truck that was kind of probably about 8th, maybe place or so. But that's going to also be front-end damage on that car as well.
It looks like the 87 of Jake Ham. So he makes a little bit of contact there early on. So early wreck for a race winner this season. I'm a little surprised by that. I think it was just him spinning the tires that kind of superheated them and kind of, like you said, drove a little bit too deep, trying to make sure you got clear. And man, how quickly you go from being up front out back in 16th. And this track's not going to be incredibly easy to pass. So, but if you're going to make a mistake, Joey, it's better do it early. Do it on lap 1. If you got a mistake in the bag, do it on lap 1 instead of later down the line.
100%. It's easier to kind of take your medicine now and then just kind of deal with everything and hopefully get back into the race and everything. Now, something that's really cool about Goat Locker is that they've got a lot of partners that they're involved with, not just virtual world, but also in the real world. And one of them is the Veterans for Life Racing. They are actually a race team with the goal of fielding a truck next season in the NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series. Veteran-based and focused on helping veterans all across the racing world, they are also heavily involved with many veteran nonprofits to raise awareness and funds. Goat Locker Racing is now partnered with them, the title sponsor for the Friday Truck Series. Big thank you to the Veterans for Life Racing team and just everything that Veterans for Life does, including, Veterans for Life Foundation. All of it all gets tied together. We're going to be highlighting a bunch more of them. Jam Printing and Promotions, Cruising Classics, Hidden Whip Brewery, InVets, Nasty's Restaurant and Bar, you heard me say earlier, out there in Ohio. Really, really cool to kind of have this big umbrella that's involved with GLR.
Yeah, and it's a testament to Pat and Jamie and all the other guys at Goat Locker who've done a lot of good work. And people want to be a part of it, man. When you're doing something really good, something important, folks want their brand and stuff attached to it. You see folks, have little oopsies on social media and in certain areas, and you don't want your brand to be a part of it. But here at Goat Locker, man, people just want to be a part of it, and that's why we have so many amazing sponsors. They created a Sunday night truck series just because they had a sponsor who wanted to have their name on the series. So just really cool.
So what we're doing right now is restacking this field. It'll be Mike George, who qualified on the outside of the front row, going to be leading him to the field this time. Let's see if the Madden cover fate of the pole sitter strikes again here in turn number 1, or if that white and red number 29 is able to survive and we get a full green flag lap of racing here at the virtual Milwaukee Mile. Barney's got the flag in his hands. He waves it. The 29 is off, immediately jumps into the racing line, down off into turn number 1. He arcs the truck. Looks like he's going to keep it nice and tidy right there in the middle of the track. Off onto the back straightaway we go. We've made it a half a lap under green flag.
Yeah, I think Pat made everybody a little bit nervous because it seemed like they were really ginger through that first turn. So Pat doing a little bit of scientific work for everybody else, but we have some two wide racing back here. You see Logan Sturgeon making a pass for third. He's up 4 spots. We've only raced 1 lap, and Logan Sturgeon already up 4 spots. He is making moves early and making it happen.
And for the most part, you see all the trucks kind of entering in that middle groove, hitting the apex right in the center of the corner at the yellow paint, at least there in turns 1 and 2, and then the truck kind of slides up maybe 1 car width, maybe 1.5 car widths. I think it's just going to be the name of the game of keeping the truck as low as they possibly can get in these corners, because it is tough to put the power down and carry the momentum at the same time. Here at Iowa, you usually do one or the other. And right now with these trucks, it just seems like the low lane is probably the smoothest lane as well for putting the power down.
Yeah, as long as that right front holds on, I think it'll be fine to run right around the bottom. I'll be curious to see if they start to charge the corner more and kind of bounce up the track and then drive off the bottom on exit as the tires start to wear. But see some folks trying to make moves. J. Cam back there was trying to make a move here on David Duke. Couldn't quite get it done. So it's like passing going to be a premium here early. But battle for the lead, maybe starting to as Levi McCarty gets loose behind Mike George, maybe pushing a little bit too hard, Joey.
That was a big-time wag of the tail coming out of turn number 2 from that second-place runner, Levi McCarty. And you just have to remember those tires and the tire temperature. Sure, you can cool them back down relatively quickly, but the more you abuse them, the less they are going to be there in the long run. Sure, we're only doing 115 laps here at Milwaukee, but you still have to take control and take care of your equipment underneath you for the longer green flag runs that we're going to get. So I'm curious, is Levi McCarty pushing it, call it 11/10ths right now, and being aggressive, but also using up the tires? Are they going to fall off faster than what we're going to see out of our leader?
I think it's going to be a good kind of show of what exactly these tires are going to mean here on this flat track. It's always a question of safe tires versus track position, as caution is out on the speedway, and it looks like Chance Taylor sitting sideways on the front stretch.
Yeah, this all happened coming up out of turn number 4. It's actually a solo spin, but caused from the number 11 of Scott Phelps. He's the black truck directly in front of our red, white, and blue number 14 here. The number 11 just gets slightly out of shape exiting 4, and you saw the 14 spin to the inside and make the contact with the wall. He simply just lifted off of the gas to avoid this number 11 and kind of spun himself out.
Yeah, these flat tracks sort of lean to that, but man, he is very lucky. Look at those barrels right there. That could have been race over for Chance Taylor. Hit those barrels, no fast repair. That could have been bad, but yeah, I think great analysis by you. Just trying to get up underneath that 11 and just lost the rear end trying to gas it up, get that position. Passing difficult here. That's one thing we were talking about before the caution came out is track position. I think it's going to be pretty important. And we were talking about Levi maybe pushing a little bit too hard, but you know, that's the question I want to see answered. Do you need to push it hard to get track position? Because it might just be too hard to make those passes later in the run. So we'll see how that plays out. Right now, Mike George got the best of both worlds. He can save and have that track.
So the first strategy card of the night has been played. There's some coming down pit road right now. You see the number 68 as well as the 99, the 64 of Matt Knight's also out there. So a few of them opting to at least fill it up with gas before we get rolling again out there. And I had mentioned Goat Locker Racing, some of the partners that they offer. They also do something that's pretty special, in my opinion. Now, the entire GLR kind of member team, they're all veterans, military, first responders, police, firefighters, the core group that helps us over here. And the latest vet spotlight that we've got is Sergeant Tim Jones. Tim served in the U.S. Army from 2006 to 2011 in the 216 Infantry Regiment, 1st Infantry Division, Fort Riley, Kansas. He made multiple combat deployments to Iraq. In 2007, he deployed to southeast Baghdad, where his efforts led to securing one of the most lawless districts in the area. In 2009, he deployed to northern Iraq to support the training of local Iraqi police and military. His company was also in charge of strengthening relations between citizens and the Iraqi government by facilitating meetings with the village leaders and funding for school projects, hospitals, and other much-needed infrastructure. Obviously, Tim has hit the ground running here at Goat Locker Racing, and incredibly impressed and glad to have him. Thank you so much for your service, Tim Jones.
You know, you were talking, Joey, about the guys coming down pit road, and I just want to highlight those are your normal fuel-saving fellas. Brandon Wallace will be one of the first guys to come down pit road and get fuel any chance he can get. He is, I think he knows that that's his greatest strength, and he's always coming down pit road. So him, Stephen McDonald, Tyler Justice, Charles Phelps, Matt Knights all came down for fuel there on that.
I'm honestly surprised, you know, one of the, call it top 10 trucks didn't roll the dice with that. Being a flat track, being how bumpy it is, and being on the older side in terms of the actual surface, right, the track surface, it tends to be a little bit more of a higher wear, higher degradation type track. So your lap times, they tend to fall off a little bit more dramatically. I understand it's early, but you have several sets of tires in the pits. I'm just surprised we didn't see one wild card.
Yeah, only 4 tire sets. I think usually under 15 laps or so, you kind of want to hang on to those. I still think track position is going to be the most important here. I would not be in the top 10 and give up a spot for tires at this juncture. So, but yeah, I'm surprised somebody didn't try it because none of those guys who came in took tires. It looks like Jesse Nekla might be going.
So we've got them all racked up. The pace car is coming off of the racetrack right now, so it's going to be Mike George. Does he keep the tires? Yes, he does. Does not spin them up. But look at Logan Sturgeon almost pushing him into turn number 1. So now the 29 has a little bit of a loose moment in the corner, is able to collect the car. It points him nicely off onto the back straightaway. So a nice hole shot from our leader, Mike George. A little bit of 2 and 3 wide further back.
Amy Barkus looked down to the inside, tried to make a move on David Duke, but the door closed on that one. But I've just got to say, man, I'm impressed with Logan Sturgeon here on these restarts, making the best use of that free real estate when you have the ability to take a quick position. He has not shied away from it, and each restart he has done exactly that. Up 5 positions here, and started 7th, currently running 2nd, and he really hasn't put that much pressure on his tires.
It is a little bit close right now between the 78 and the 24. That is 3rd and 4th, and include Logan Sturgeon in this because there is a huge wiggle from the car we were riding on board with. So Levi McCarty's going to duck down to the inside. David Duke in that, call it charcoal and chrome 78, is going to try to follow contact between the 24 and the 26. That opens the door for Duke.
Yeah, he wanted to pull a slider, but I think Logan was still there, and kind of they went up, made a little contact, and that move alone might cost Levi McCarty a couple spots, because here comes David Duke down to the inside for 2nd. David Duke, a winner in the Sunday series, and now he's trying to get a win here in the Friday night Veterans for Life Racing Truck Series. But right now, Mike George is pulling away. He's loving to see all this in his rear view, I'll tell you that.
He's just kind of putting up the deuces and says, everybody, yeah, keep on doing what you're doing because I'm just conserving my tires while you all are racing behind me. Got Jamie Barkus in that white and black with the red highlights. That's the number 15 that's trying to get by Levi McCarty. And next in line is the 87. That's Jake Ham. So when you're this black and gold number 24 of Levi that's just kind of stuck to the outside and it's just non-stop truck after truck after truck to the inside lane, it can be a little bit of a helpless feeling, almost like he's drowning out there. But now is a little bit of glimpse of daylight. He gets off of turn number 2 quite nicely, but can't quite clear that 87 going into 3.
Yeah, Jake Ham knew that was coming, and you know, whenever you see somebody up on that side like that stuck, you want to take advantage of it like everybody else. And Jake knew he was going to try to jump down in front, and Jake drove the hell out of it and out into the corner. And so that little move between Sturgeon and Levi McCarty up for 2nd, you see what it's done to him. Logan has fallen back to 7th where he started, so all that he gained, he lost. And Levi is just constantly under fire. He's going to lose this position. You can see Jacob Ellingson is now going to get right to the back bumper of that 87. I'm surprised the outside line is not doing as well as I thought it might. It seems to be struggling right now.
I wonder if it'll come in throughout the night, though, because typically all it takes is maybe a little bit of rubber, maybe a few trucks being stuck up there, and it kind of accelerates the grip level of that middle groove. So, yeah, it might seem really, really bad right now on lap number 22, but maybe on lap number 75 or lap number 100 or so, it might be a little bit of a different story. And Jake Ellingson was a little bit forceful to try to get the nose of the truck to the inside of the 24, but it paid off, and now we've got another yellow flag out on the racetrack. I think maybe the 14 of Chance Taylor involved once again, and maybe the black and green number 92 of Timothy Stubblefield as well. I see that it looks like he's got heavy damage to the truck, has to bring it down to pit road.
Yeah, that is disappointing. Stub Nation not going to be happy about that, and no fast repair. When you see that black smoke coming out, fortunately that's engine damage and that's not repairable. So he'll come down and get some tires. It looks like it's pitting the truck, but he's not going to be able to leave this pit stop. Unfortunate for him. Let's see if we can go back and find out what happened to these 2 drivers.
So unfortunately, Stubblefield is going to come up to it and pretty much have a couple cars spinning right in front of him. You see the 14 come back up the racetrack, and what had initially happened that caused the 14 to do that is the number 85 had gotten into the right rear of Chance Taylor. Here we're going to see this contact between the 2 trucks. Chance is going to basically get a huge loose moment, catch the truck, but overcorrect, and there's Stub Nation.
Man, that is disappointing. But yeah, you could see, I was wondering, I wanted to go back just a little bit further, and you can see there was a little bit of contact here, and we do have some pit stops going on right now, but just wanted to highlight this because we always see the final contact. We never see the initial stuff. And I think right here, now I think 85 is kind of inching him down on the exit. So, you know, I really can't say that's the 14's fault, but I think the 85 just not happy with it and just gives him a little shove right here, sends him around.
All it
Oof.
takes is that, and yeah, that's a hard hit for Stubblefield, and you can't really fault Chance either. He was literally trying to save the car, so he's got as much wheel cranked into it as he can. I think maybe the only other learning opportunity there is typically when you spin on the ovals, you want to spin down to the inside, because anytime you whip that thing back to the right, you got all the physics carrying the momentum. Most of the time, you got the cars in the racing groove as well. It just never usually ends up nice. But what is nice, I tell you what, Jam Printing and Promotions. Since forming in 2013, Jam has contributed printing and promotional sponsorships to more than 60 local nonprofits, with a primary focus on organizations that assist veterans, women, and children. They have been with Goat Locker Racing since the very beginning, local and veteran certified. When they do well, they do good in the community. And big thank you to Jam, not only plastered all over the creamsicle machine, the 07, which was our pole sitter, but they also have the Jam Printing and Promotional Pole Award every single race. It's kind of fitting that it went to the 07 here today. Not the kind of day that Drabick was hoping ever since we saw the green flag, but I guess pre-race it started nicely.
Yeah, he's had to get a little bit of damage fixed. It came down laps ago for his stop. 40 seconds of damage repaired. You can still see a little crinkle on the rear of that machine. So he's still got a lot of work to do. Still plenty of time. A little update from race control. James Goshen, the 85, did get an EOL from that, so he'll have to go through that. So it's good to have race control tonight. I would love to shout them out before we go green, Joey, if you can. Really killing the dead air here. Andrew Chapman, so I wanted to shout.
Thank you very much, Andrew, for being the eye in the sky, overlooking Barney's shoulder and just making sure that all the kids on the playground are behaving themselves. You're going to see the pace car peel off of the racetrack right here onto pit road, what I couldn't say at the beginning. And now we've got a green flag on the racetrack. Mike George with a nice jump into turn number one. Side here for second place between the 87 and the 15. That's Ham on the low side and Barkus on the top side. A little bit of a wiggle from the truck down low, trying to put that power down. Remember, the entire top seven all on their original tires.
J-Cam, no stranger to the front of the field. He's a multi-time Goat Locker winner. Missed the first part of this season, but has jumped in. He's been a part of this series for multiple seasons, and he is starting off really good here. He's up 3 spots. Logan Surgeon trying to fight off Levi and Jacob behind him, but he is quietly moving up through the field, making clean passes, and it's a lot of Goat Locker up front at the moment. Mike George, I guess, I'm gonna get cursed out for that one, but Jamie Barkus, Goat Locker, got Vets for Life racing in the front, and then you got Indy Autosports. So 3 different teams, your top 1, 2, 3.
We also have just got an absolute hornet's nest from, call it 5th on back, as the race for the lead is as close as it's ever been up front. And just look at how busy it is back here. I know that up front, these guys are racing tough, but it's a little bit more, call it like a chess game, right? Where you're methodically picking where you want to put the nose of your truck. Do you want to maybe feint to the inside to just kind of show in the of the competitor right? But you go back to, call it 12th, 15th, 17th, these guys are basically scrapping it out like a bunch of football players in the mud, leaning on each other, just trying to find whatever piece of racetrack they can get. And it is some tough racing back here.
It's always toughest in the back. You know, everything is, you got guys who may be on fresh tires, and that's sort of where the bottleneck is, starting with Jeremy Garner here in 7th. He's the first driver on those 4 tires, and that's where that kind of it's almost like a hurricane coming through there. It's all meeting right at the fronts, and that's where all that clogged up mess is happening. Gardner's already made up a spot here. Levi McCarty, the last one on old tires, and you can see he gives Gardner a little bump there. So already I think maybe a little bit of aggravation going on with this short track type racing, flat track, very hard to pass. Guys are using the bumpers early and often, it seems like.
You brought up 2 very good points right there. One is that Jeremy Gardner is just slicing his way through the field right now on those fresh tires. And call it a 20 lap difference on his tires versus everybody around him. Call it maybe a few laps more, about 24 laps more. But it's not huge, but it is enough that he is just able to pass everybody around. Then you also kind of mentioned the short track mentality of kind of the emotions already coming into play. I'm not surprised it's coming from the number 24 that almost tried to get to the back bumper of Gardner. He's been the truck that has just been hung out to dry on the outside. Nobody has been Levi McCarty's friend tonight. I'm not surprised that maybe it's already boiling over in there.
Well, it's always frustrating to be the last guy on old tires because you are just getting in front of it and it never stops. Throughout the whole run, you're just constantly getting passed, and there's nothing you can do about it. Your tires are just not that good. And, you know, I think what is happening here is just the ability to drive deep into the corner, but also roll the middle. And you really have to be able to roll the middle with carry that speed to be able to get back on the throttle. And when those tires are not you know, just not acting like fresh ones. Or you can see he's having to put a little bit more wheel, have to slow down a little bit. The other guys are able just to drive right on through, and right there, it actually gets continuing to get loose on the exit. We've seen him do that a couple of times, so it's frustrating. I just can't imagine being in this position because it's just going to be constant from here on out to the end of this run. Although, get down to the end of the race, you know, if it works out just right, you might have that extra set.
I think that right now it seems very bad, but there will be kind of the other side of things that Levi will have fresh tires and he'll be able to move up on some of those trucks that maybe have older stuff. We'll just kind of have to see how all these yellow flags play out. One thing that is playing out is that number 42 continues his march towards the front. He has now cut it inside the top five, taking away fourth place from Jake Ellingson, that other white and red truck on the outside. The 27 gets really loose there on the exit at turn number 4. He looks to the inside of Gardner. I don't think he's going to try to make anything happen, although everything just closing up at the front. Not only is Gardner right there, he's going to pull an over-under on Jake Ham down the back straightaway, but look at Jamie Barkus taking a look to the inside, on the bumper to our leader of Mike George. So even though the 42's got fresh tires, look at how close this entire pack is. The top 10 is racing for the lead.
Man, this is what I mean, golly, none of us are paying to watch this. This is crazy. It's awesome that we get to do this for free because this is a show. I mean, I don't think they race this good in real life in the trucks. It's usually a caution after caution after caution, and these guys putting on a show. Now, of course, we've got these fresh tires, so guys are able to make passes, but you know, it's at one point they're going to equalize, but also these guys, I think, on the newer tires, how hard are they driving? Are they going to wear these things out? As Jeremy Garner, you couldn't see it, but off screen, he takes a drink of his Mountain Dew, it looks like. So he's feeling confident, Joey. He's taking a sip of Mountain Dew while on the straightaway.
He's just channeling that inner Dale Jr., right? Sometimes you got to get the Dale call out there. So check this out. Gardner is now taking a poke to the inside. Really good move right there. He just kind of showed the nose and forced the 15 to probably drive it in a little bit deeper than he really wanted it to. I think that Barkus did a tremendous job to kind of save the car right in the middle of the corner, though, because even though he drove it in way too deep, was able to collect it and kind of diamond it off turn number 4. So the 42 now applying that strategy, was just really, really wide on the entry to turn number 1, trying to square off these corner exits, because it seems like that's what these two leaders are doing quite well. And as long as you can run away down the front straightaway, you don't have a passing opportunity going into the corner. Yeah, and Garner really maybe trying to bait Barkus into burning his right front up a little bit more, driving that deep. He's driving in so deep, trying to have a more of a defensive line. Ooh, I think we got somebody going around. Jacob Ellingson has gone around and immediately exits out of the race. Unfortunate there. I also see the 55. I believe that's Howie DiSavino, but unfortunately, this one's going to be all on the 27. This is going into turn number 1 here. And I'm not sure if there had maybe been something that had happened beforehand, or if maybe Jake just thought he got a tremendous run out of turn number 4 here, but he just seems to be a little bit way too hot going into turn number 1. Really tries to avoid the contact. and then spins himself out. Actually, great avoidance from Howie.
Yeah, I think he didn't want to give that spot up, and he saw an opportunity to try to fill that gap behind Jamie Mullins. And I think he was just trying to make sure he didn't cut off Howie into this corner and just cook him. I think Jacob's still on those 40-lap old tires, and you're going to see he's going to get the run here as Howie kind of slips up, and he's going to try to jump ahead, but he didn't want to stop in front of Howie and get turned, and it just cooks him on the entry of the corner. Such a bummer. And I don't know why he quit out immediately. I didn't see that be that much damage. So surprising to see him just kind of exit out, take it to the house.
We see a wave of action on pit road. I expect that everybody that hasn't visited is going to be coming down, as well as probably Jeremy Gardner. It had been, call it 20-some laps that he had been on those tires. So Mike George was our leader. It seems like the 29 is going to get out there, but there was a handful
Cody
of cars.
McElwain.
It looks like top 7 did not pit. So these trucks that are exiting right now will kind of feed themselves out into the middle of that restart. As want to give another big, huge shout out to Veterans for Life Foundation. The goal of the Veterans for Life Foundation is to both revitalize communities and supporting military veterans and their families' successful transition back into civilian life. Through support services, counseling, and education, they provide permanent, affordable housing to veterans and their families. A huge thank you to the Veterans for Life Foundation out here. And Eddie, back to the racing action. We've got a few kind of split strategies out there. The two main ones are the top 7 cars that are on 19-lap old tires. Call it 20-lap old tires roughly when we get going. Everybody else is on fresh stuff.
Yeah, sort of a flip-flop from earlier. Kind of not what you wanted to see if you took tires earlier. You didn't want to see that caution because now this puts you at a disadvantage, and it's going to be interesting to see how it all plays out. Now you kind of hoping for the same thing to happen to the other guy. So it's going to be one of those scenarios where somebody's about to lose out pretty badly. Although we didn't see those guys, even on 40-lap old tires, really drop in too far back. They've dropped back to maybe 5th or 6th. But it wasn't too bad as the tires got a little heat in them. So, yeah, I don't know. I mean, these guys have made their bed. They got 4 tires in the pits. I mean, 3 in the pits, 4 total. You can only take so many, and you don't want to burn through them here. So these guys who came down earlier are going to kind of have to lay in what they decided to do and just kind of take the free track position for David Duke, Jamie Mullins, Daniel Cunningham. These guys are speedy enough to win races. 20 laps on tires may be enough to make the difference when it comes to the end of this race. I mean, Daniel Cunningham up 14, Brandon Wallace up 17, Steve McDonald up 13. So that's a lot of track position you gain just by flipping, a caution there.
It's going to be almost an identical story from what we saw with Jeremy Gardner when he got those first set of fresh tires and everybody else had stayed out. Well, very, very similar story. We've been saying this top 7, call it 20-lap old tires, everybody else on that fresh stuff. However, not a huge delta difference, so as long as these drivers can maintain that corner exit, they do survive a chance. David Duke launches the car as he sees the green flag be waved. We are racing again here with the Veterans for Life Racing Truck Series at the Milwaukee Mile. That chrome number 78 just rockets off into the sunset here in turns number 1 and 2. Seems like the 91 and the 11 that were racing side by side, and that's where the log jam begins.
Yeah, great start. I mean, everybody out front's been getting great jump. That's what you have to do, except for Patrick Drabick, who spun his tires. Everybody else has done a really good job getting it going. But, yeah, you're right. It is a cluster you-know-what back here, and this is where all the tires are. And you can see Mike George, Jamie Barkas, Cody McElwain all just kind of clustered up here. Man, we're going to go maybe 3 wide as Cody McElwain running stripe. And, Mike George has gone around.
Problems. Yeah, absolutely. Sorry to interrupt you there. I'm surprised we have not gone yellow flag. That was your outside pole sitter, Mike George, and there's the yellow flag. Now we've got it. So I understand why this wasn't thrown initially with the truck kind of being spun off down into the apron, but this was literally in front of the entire field, so I think it should have kind of automatically come out. The 99 makes contact with the 29, and there the 29 goes spinning off onto the grass.
Yeah, not my best replay, but it looks like Mike George just going to get loose, trying to make this move off the corner. You see him right there. He gets loose and then almost does a little 2-foot smash. Joey, I don't know if you're familiar with the old 2-foot smash in iRacing, but you start to lose the truck.
It's a sim racer move.
Yeah, right. You kind of get the truck loose a little bit. And you go, oh, I'm about to spin out, hit the brakes and the gas at the same time. But when somebody's behind you, like Brandon Wallace was, not the best move to make, and he goes around. But hey, great job by everybody else, Joey, that that didn't cause a massive pileup, because that could have very easily been a massive wreck.
Good catch there. It was definitely Mike George just maybe gassing it up a little bit too much. We've seen that, call it middle lane, outside lane, bite a few of the drivers, especially on these restarts. We saw the 07, our initial pole sitter, get caught out huge in turn number 1 there. So I have a feeling it's going to be a little bit of a danger area all night. But to your point, Eddie, yes, everybody did a fantastic job that once the incident was happening, to get up to the top side of the racetrack and basically avoid all of that commotion.
Yeah, well, to just kind of jump in real quick about that is it's Mike George was the first one on fresh tires, and Brandon Wallace was at the end of that, and Mike George just trying to make that move on the outside and just gassed it up a little bit too much. But that's that urgency of like, oh man, look, there's 6 cars in front of me, or 6 trucks, I gotta go. And it's so easy to do, man. Early on fresh tires, you've run 40 laps on older tires, you got them heated up, they grip up just fine, the pressures are where they need to be, and then you put some cold, ice cold tires on there, and you try to gas it up, and boy, you have to consider that every single time, and I think that's what happened. So.
You're making me chuckle over here. I love the ice cold tires. Like, they got the Goodyears in the snack shack in the freezer back there. Making sure the pressures are real stable in that environment. And then, all right, let's get them out on the truck.
Well, maybe it's a relative thing. It's just ice cold relatively to what they were driving before. So, yeah, and I'm sure Mike George would tell you for sure that it felt ice cold when he hit that throttle coming off the corner and that thing just looped on around. It'll definitely surprise you, not so much in the trucks, but in the next gen for sure. That thing will just come around in a heartbeat. It can be scary. So, yeah, we're going to get a little reset here, and those guys on those older tires get a chance to breathe. Get a little update. Patrick Drabick, the 07, had gone down a lap at some point. He is back on the lead lap due to the lucky dog. So Drabick is not out of it just yet, still in it, but he's in 23rd, tail end of lead lap.
I've been watching him. He went a lap down a little while back and has just done a terrific job to basically maximize his crew fixing his car. Remember, you don't have any fast repairs here with the truck series on Friday nights now, so he has to stay in it, and the best way to do that is to spend the most amount of time allowing his team to fix that truck. And here he is, not even halfway, with what looks to be a perfectly clean truck and on the lead lap to go out there and make something after how the night started. That's all you can ask for if you're Patrick Drabick, as David Duke now looks upwards. The green flag waves. He stands on the gas one more time. The crowd cheers here at the Milwaukee Mile. Everybody, a sold-out stadium here. The 91 and the 11, that's Cunningham and Phelps. That's the first pair that's next to each other coming off of turn number 2. They're still drag racing down the back straightaway.
I'm going to tell you what, I kind of swallowed my throat there when David Duke took off, because he really spun the tires. That's something to think about on these old tires, on these restarts. Maybe watch for, because, man, he was all kinds of out of shape. And luckily, hung on to it. But look at Cody McElwain. Got to make it 3 wide here into turn 1. And everybody trying to catch their breath here as Chance Taylor says, you know what, I guess I'm going to get out of here.
The 14 had a big loose moment there, and I think that he was just happy that he didn't make contact with the 11 going into turn number 2. So Chance Taylor, who had a very busy first couple laps of the night, remember he was involved in some of those yellows, finds himself towards the front of the field and on a decent strategy currently. So right now up front, David Duke is out, and we've got another yellow flag. Unfortunately, I think it's Mike George again. Craig Bontrager involved. I see one of the hoods, and the front end on that 29 looks shortened up a little bit.
Yeah, I see a fan jumping on the track trying to get that hood before they can grab it to take it as a souvenir. But, man, Mike George, you know, it's so easy once you have one incident, have a couple, you know, things not go your way, it all kind of fall apart. And we'll take a look and see what happened here. But
to jump in here, Eddie, this was right in front of him, the 51, the 49. You see it all happening on the front straightaway. So what I have a feeling is it's probably going to be between the 51 and the 49, somewhere on the maybe the back straightaway and going into turn 3 and 4 here. You see them lined up directly in front and going out onto the straightaway. Are they aware they're 3 wide? I think that he only thought that he was 2 wide, kind of squeezed the car in the middle. And then you see Mike George just really nowhere to go once Bontrager started to spin. Maybe even a little bit of that target fixation.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think 49 just didn't know that they were, you can see right there, it just comes up the track, just not aware that they're 3 wide, and man, just nowhere to go. I mean, you want to come to a complete stop, but there's guys behind you. You know, you can't just slam on the brakes and it's just a bummer.
Well, I actually think that Mike did a terrific job to kind of avoid the first part of the accident, because he literally had a front row seat watching it develop. So he was off at the gas and on to the brakes going into turn number 1. I have a feeling maybe some of the others weren't so much slowing up as much as they needed to. And then you combine that with these things aren't light. Right, Eddie? They're 4,000 pounds or close to it by the time you put the driver, the fuel, everything in it. And then the suspension is from, call it the 1950s, if you will. Plus, they got tiny little tires on them. They look big because they're slicks, but trust me, when you compare them to the size and the weight of this thing, they are tiny.
Yeah, I mean, no ABS systems, no traction control. These are just raw. I mean, that's why we love stock cars. That's why they're hard to drive. That's why they're so much fun. But, you know, in moments like that, you know, all the safety features that you have out on the road when, you know, somebody, it's raining a little bit or somebody stops really quickly in front of you, you slam on the brakes, you got anti-lock brakes. Here, you just don't have that. And you can't just, you know, just steer to the right, steer to the left. When you're going the speeds that these things are, and they're trimmed out. These are race cars. You know, they don't have the suspension to be able to make, you know, moves like that, especially to the right. It's just a bad combination when a wreck happens in front of you like that. Slam on the brakes, just kind of panic brake, and they're just going to lock up. And then you can't turn it off. So it's always tough. People always talk about ARCA brakes, but it's really honestly very difficult unless you just come to a complete stop to avoid it.
I'm going to give a big shout out to Cruisin' Classics. They're located in Columbus, Ohio. Cruisin' Classics has a beautiful 56,000 square foot showroom filled with hundreds of unique automobiles. There's something for everybody out of their hand-picked selection of muscle cars and hot rods. Come on down to visit the facility today or check out their website at cruisinclassicsinc.com. So, and to kind of talk about it, because we're going back to green flag, so we can't drag this on too long. We can't beat a dead horse. The virtual world, there is a very much a huge difference and a huge gap in the safety, right? And nobody is worried about piling into their buddy at 160 miles an hour here in the sim. So typically when wrecks happen, it's a little bit more lackadaisical, do you call it?
Yeah, well, you just let go of the wheel.
Well, we've got them all lined up. We're going to be clicking it over to lap number 58. So call it about the halfway point here at the Milwaukee Mile, and David Duke has just done a terrific job, aided by some yellow flags, to hang on to the lead. But we are racing once again here at the mile. You see the 14 of Chance Taylor immediately dive it down. He's that first car, call it fourth, fifth place in line. We might even potentially go 3 wide because Taylor does not get a good drive off of the corner. You got Gardner to the inside and the 15 of Barkus down low.
Hell yeah. I love it. Poor Chance Taylor getting just swallowed up by these new tires. And he's trying to fight as hard as he can, but you can't beat fresh rubber. And, man, what a great job by everybody to hold on to it. I know Chance has got to be so daggone frustrated in this race, but it is what it is. This has been a dogfight. Like you said, from about 5th on back to 19th, it's been just non-stop racing. I did want to shout somebody out. I know I shouldn't jump around too much, but, man, Cody McElwain up 10 spots from where he started in 12th. He's on the freshest tires up here in between older tires. He's got everything he needs in that Invets, like a Ford F-150 to get out front. But he got up to second and then started backing it down, Joey. What do you think? He's trying to save these tires a little bit?
I just think he's kind of settling in. I do feel like the number 6, we haven't talked about a whole lot while the racing was going on. He has been quite aggressive in the middle of the pack. I saw him force it 3 wide going down the front straightaway and during one of those green flag segments. So I think maybe Racecraft has really moved this number 6 up towards the front. But now that you're here, Duke has done a tremendous job setting the pace on those old tires, and just kind of like what we saw out of Gardner and George before, can the leader just kind of hang on the old stuff, capitalizing on the corner exit?
Cody really got on the throttle there, trying to rotate it from center off to try to get underneath Duke. Could not do it, then drove it a little deep in here, and they're battling, fighting for every inch of this track down on the bottom. And Cody starting to plan the attack as he starts to see his rearview mirror get filled up by Jamie Mullins. Oh, and Duke drives it deep in the corner. Sorry, Joey.
You just took the words right out of my mouth, because Duke drove it in there real deep. Let's see if it's going to cost him on the corner exit. Actually, maybe that's what David needs to start doing, is maybe leaving the door a little bit more open on the corner entry.
Look at that!
See the 6 now capitalized to the outside. He says, you know what? I don't need the inside. I got the tire advantage. Let me go the long way around.
Oh my God, I love it. What a great move. It's not going to work out. I'm really surprised, but that was like that SVG Coda turn 1 move where he was on the inside, then jumped up to the outside. What an awesome move. And I can't say enough about Cody McElwain. What a great driver. He's unbelievable in the road courses. He can drive anything. Now he gets that inside position, and I think it's just a matter of time, and David Duke knows that.
Yeah, but look at Duke with the over-under all the way on the curb. Hang on to it, bud. Looks like he does, but I think that the fresh tires are going to prevail now that the number 6 is out in the clean air. I don't think that David Duke just has the equipment underneath him to really hang on to it. So I slide back to now what is 4th place. That's Jamie Barkus. He is the black and red truck with the white highlights right here. You see him 2 wide behind as Jake Ham takes away the position from Scott Feltz, who's just really stuck on the outside, and he's on the old tire. So that's going to be a losing battle for everybody in his mirror. But the 15 is the next on the freshest tires. He's going to try to take advantage of Mullins and Duke, but it might be the 87 that takes advantage of Barkus first.
Yeah, man, it's such a tough position to be here because everybody preaches patience, but patience is not good when everybody else is not following that. If everybody's patient, it's easy to be patient, but if you got somebody behind you that's trying to go, it makes it difficult to just sit behind somebody, especially if it's a teammate. You know, you're kind of like, I want to ride, but I've got getting pressured from behind. I got to make up these spots. I think in oval racing, especially in a competitive series like this, you got to go. When you have an opportunity to make a pass, you better go, or you'll be going backwards. So, Jamie trying to just kind of hang around in the top 4, but he's going to have to make moves, especially with the fresh tires, because that advantage is going to go away at some point.
One of the fastest trucks on the racetrack that last time. Don't look now, but Patrick Drabick is trying to overtake Howie DiSavino for what will be 8th place. Is he back from the dead? Remember, this truck was your pole sitter. He was the fastest in qualifying, had to get all of that damage fixed up. He had heavy contact in turn number 1. He finds himself back inside the top 10 with a completely clean truck. This is the revival. This is redemption from the creamsicle machine.
Yeah, freshest tires pretty much in this top 15. He came in just 18 laps ago, where Cody McElwain came in 26 laps ago. So he has a really nice tire advantage, and he's going to have to use it. He's come down pit road 3 times. So I'm hoping he's still on a second set of tires, but he may be on a third. I can't imagine he's on his third set of tires, so it must be still his second. But, yes, he is making some moves here. It's going to start to get harder and harder as he gets up into the top 10 like this. But you can see a lot of action going on in front of him. He's going to have to be careful here.
I count 3 trucks that have a tire disadvantage when in comparison of Drabic. And did you see Patrick kind of the jaw dropped to the floor a little bit as the 55 chopped the nose? And there's a huge wiggle. Howie DiSavino putting the car control on full display, riding on board with Drabic, and now actually a little bit of a door bang from the 55 going into turn number 3. These are 2 winners already in this series, so they've already punched their ticket to the playoffs. I'm not surprised to see these 2 kind of throwing elbows almost.
Well, it's funny. These guys talk so highly of each other, and it's the way it goes in Goat Locker as DiSavino gets a little bit loose there. These guys will talk so highly, but you get on the track, these guys race the dog food out of each other, and man, they take, they'll run into each other, bump. These guys get on the track, they're whole different animals. They're out there hugging and singing Kumbaya around the fire over at Bristol last weekend with each other, and then they get out on this track and they're bumping and banging. That's why we love Goat Locker.
Racing the dog food out of each other. Eddie, I think that's the wrong end of the dog that you're talking about. But you're right. The racing is incredibly intense. And Patrick Drabic, I see still 3 trucks in front of him that he has got a tire advantage on. That includes, let's see here, the number 11 directly in front of him, David Duke. That's the 78, a couple trucks in front of that. And then also Jamie Mullins, who's just doing a terrific job up there in second place. So I think that, call it the tire difference, will fall more and more and more into Patrick Drabic's hands. Include him kind of up inside the top 5 if it stays green. But Eddie, that's the big if. We haven't been able to stay green for too terribly long out here.
Yeah, this is about the longest green flag run that we've had here tonight. And up front, it's getting a little tight up here. Jamie Mullins making his presence known. He is a multi-time race winner. He knows how to get it done. He won't be as flashy as some, but he will get it done. I think he was in the Final 4 last season. So he is looking to try to make a move here on Cody. Now, Cody, I will brag on him all day long. He is one of the cleanest drivers. I love racing around Cody McElwain. But what I do know about him is he has a little bit hard time on the ovals, going ham. And oh my goodness, as soon as I say that, there goes Jamie Mullins around, and caution going to come out, Joey.
He does the right thing. He locks it down. And since he was on the racetrack and in front of the field, we get a yellow flag immediately thrown. And now the UC, the number 66, get going. But this just been the story all night. Loose, right? Loose coming off the corner, and you have to modulate the throttle. Watch this, coming off of 4. Just going to try to put the power down, and you combine that with tires that are 50 laps old, 50 laps old. It can be a tough task to ask.
Yeah. You always get in that mode whenever you're trying to make a pass like that, and he just kind of got up out of the groove, and whenever that happens, you try to chase it. It's hard to tell a fella to back it off and just, hey, I'm going to have to give up this corner. He tried to make up for the fact he missed the bottom and kind of shifted up a little bit, got the right side tires over the seam, and it just kind of shifts the weight just awkwardly, where when you lean on that right rear, it just comes around. And pit stop so here happening. Cody McElwain going to give up the lead and come down and get 4 tires, and there it is, Joey. We talked about it. The strategy is just kind of completely split. Every time a caution comes out, we're kind of flip-flopping the top 10.
Yeah, see about, call it 7 or 8 trucks, once again, that stayed out, and everybody else took the opportunity to come on down and get some fresh tires and fill it on up with fuel, or at least enough fuel to make it to the end. So, going to be rolling around lap number 76, call it probably about 77 or 78 once we get going back into green flag. Want to give a nice big shout out to Hidden Wit Brewing Company. They were born from the desire to help you find a little escape from the world outside of the doors. Our focus from the beginning has always been to craft drinkable beers that you love to enjoy. They are majority veteran-owned and the title sponsor of the Tuesday Xfinity Series. And Eddie, the Goat Locker Racing guys, they do a lot of racing. It's not just the Veterans for Life Racing Truck Series here on Friday night. They got Xfinity, they got Next Gen, they got all sorts of racing going on pretty much every single day of the week.
Yeah, what a problem to have too many series. And they're all, I mean, they had a Next Gen race at Watkins Glen that had I think 28 cars, which is very rare for an oval series to fill out a field at a road course. A lot of guys will take that as their drop week. And so really impressive to see. And I'll tell you what, talk about impressive. Look here now, going to be on the outside of the front row here in this restart. Patrick Dravick back up here to the front. Has done everything right at this point. We'll see as far as the tire situation. I saw he's been down pit lane 3 times. And I think Cody McElwain has also been down pit lane 3 times. If they took tires each time, they are out of tires. But with just about 45-ish laps to go, may not be in a bad scenario here if you are on your last set.
I don't think I think that Drabick is smart enough that he was managing the tires and also fixing stuff on pit road. So I would expect that the drivers up front probably have one set in reserve from here. I think that asking, call it 15, 40 laps, plus the 35 or 30 that they've already been on, so that's 70 laps on a set of tires. I think that would be poor management. If you ask me, if I was a crew chief, I'd expect them to have one set out there just in case they get a late race yellow and they need that extra grip. So the top 3 drivers are the winners from the first rounds. Gardner, Drabick, DeSavino lined up nicely, just how they've won in order. Drabick now to the outside. DeSavino on the low line, gets a little bit washed up in the middle of the corner, but now puts the right foot down, starts to accelerate away down the back straightaway.
Patrick has about 7 lap fresher tires than Howie, but Howie's got that preferred line. The outside is just, especially once it gets a little bit lighter in the pavement, it just does not seem to grip up. We've seen a couple guys wreck trying to gas it up from out there. So he's going to have to settle back in third as Matt Knights is loose back here. Everybody able to avoid it. They all span out. See Tyler Justice kind of give up a couple spots to allow that to play out. Sorry. Wanted to highlight that, but everybody doing a good job. But, yeah, Pat going to fall back to third. And it is just a cluster, you know what, back here is Logan Sturgeon, third driver on those fresh tires, trying to follow Cody McElwain and Jake Ham.
You see that 26 car, that's Logan Sturgeon up on the outside, but he actually was able to carry a lot of momentum off of turn number 4, something we haven't seen very much at all tonight. He was able to capitalize on the pass of the 51. That's Jesse Nekula. We haven't mentioned Jesse Nekula at all tonight. He's up 8 positions from where he started, although he is on an older set of tires. So there you see the 78. That's David Duke sliding to the inside. You're also going to see the 91 now, Daniel Cunningham. He's going to take advantage. So unfortunate for Jesse Nekula that he was inside the top 10. Just his tires, his equipment letting him down right now.
Yeah, he was 4th there for a second, and it didn't take but a couple laps. Now he's back in 9th. He needs to go back. So 51, truck's not driving good, that's for sure. He needs a caution at some point. Probably the next 10 or 15 laps, if you get a caution, they'll be in good shape. But, man, look here. Cody McElwain makes a pass for 2nd place. Now going to set his sights. Look how quickly he got through as Howie DeSavino gets a little bit loose. But look how quickly these guys have gotten through this traffic. And now he's looking down to the inside trying to take the lead.
Now, I expect that this number 6 has burned through the 3 sets of tires based off of how aggressive I've seen him be driving tonight. And here he goes, just with a huge head of steam down the back straightaway, easily going to clear Gardner. Does he close the door? The 87 almost washes up into Gardner there, but the 6 already has, call it a 5-7 car width gap to capitalize on the lead. Jake Ham followed him through, so the fresh tires are now up front, setting the pace.
Yeah, and, talking about Cody's tire situation, if he is on the last set, I mean, it's still possible that we go green to the finish here. And if we do, Cody is in a great position. Now, he did start to burn his stuff up a little bit, and we were kind of talking a little bit about that. He is one to really get in there and heat them up really quickly. And he saved those tires. You see Jeremy Garner in the wall. He's actually stuck to it. Able to get off. Everybody able to avoid him. But and Cody saved those tires. He has the track position, but is Ham going to make him push it a little bit too far? Cody is definitely susceptible to that. But, man, he's such a fun driver to watch race. He puts on a good show every time he's on the track. He's completely dominated Wednesday night at Watkins Glen. But he has been a lot of fun to watch tonight. Can he hold off Jake Ham? And you can see the gap they have back to Logan Sturgeon.
David Duke is slicing up the inside as Gardner kind of taps the wall again on the front straightaway. We'd made the comment, Jeremy Gardner definitely smacked the wall coming up out of turn number 4 a couple laps ago and actually just took a shot from Levi McCarty. Everybody picked on Levi early on in the race, and I think maybe it's time that Levi throws a few punches back, as actually directly to the inside. I think that's Jamie Mullins there trying to take away that position. So the 42 on old stuff, Levi McCarty on the fresh stuff, the 66 of Mullins also on the fresh tires. So there are a few of these trucks that are out of place, that are continuing to fall back, but it really seems like the 42 and the 55 of Howie DiSavino are the furthest forward of those old tires. Remember how we were talking about Patrick Drabick? He's fallen back down to 9th place. I really do feel like those drivers that are on the quote-unquote old stuff, they're just patiently waiting for that yellow flag. But to your point, Eddie, what if it never comes?
Yeah, I'd be nervous if I was those drivers at this point. I mean, you wonder why maybe you don't come down. They had to try to get track position, so it may work out in their favor. But I mean, right now, they might get this caution as Jamie Marcus spun down to the inside wall and exits out. So no caution there. As I don't know what happened to Marcus. We'll take a look real quick. Won't spend too much time. He's back here with Matt Knights. These guys running basically by themselves.
Yeah, what happened here? 15 is down to the inside to just get loose. He bounces off the curb. Yeah, just got loose. Right, we've seen that, right? A few times on restarts, but I'm not surprised that there was not a yellow flag there, because did you see there's nobody directly behind that was coming up that was needing to avoid any sort of that incident?
Yeah, I think that's a good call by the race control. And, of course, Jamie exited out almost immediately. So almost a sign to say, hey, don't throw this caution. It seems to be that kind of when you exit out immediately, because he didn't have any damage. So that's a couple of Goat Locker guys just kind of calling it quits.
But now, since we spoke about it so much, we do have a yellow flag on the racetrack. It is our buddy in the number 25, in the 28 truck. Yeah, James Kaufman. It's a little confusing here, Eddie, because you see it's the number 28, but it doesn't say 28 on the side, does it?
No, it doesn't. So, and he's always been the 25. So I don't know exactly why that is, but he's always been the 25. But either way, that was James Kaufman that did bring out the caution. We'll see if we can go back a little bit further to find out what happened. Well, it might have been a self-spin here. We'll check up in front of him. Yeah, he just gets on the brakes trying to avoid, I believe that's Daniel Cunningham and Tyler Justice. And so Kaufman just kind of checks up with the brakes. And unfortunately, just going to go around. We'll watch that from his perspective. drives it down in there, trying to get some position here. Just check up right here, get on the brakes. Whoop, goes right around. Pit stops though,
Yeah.
Joey.
And that's what I was just about to mention. We do have some of them that have stayed out there on the racetrack, and most of them are coming down pit road. I have my eye all the way up front. You see Drabick, that's that lead car on pit road. He's up on the right side. Does he take all four? Looks like he does go up on the left side, so 4 tires is going to be the call, at least for Drabick, and he actually beats the 55 off of pit road. There was a few of them that led their way off, but the delta difference is 15 laps between the trucks that stayed out and these trucks that have used what we assume is the last set of tires.
Yeah, Jeremy Garner out of pit road, and see J Cam slowing down, and oh no, Joey. Oh my goodness, say it ain't so. The worst time for this to happen, but it looks like J Cam speeding penalties, letting everyone go. He came out with the lead there coming off pit road, and I think we know why.
I always say, don't beat yourself. It's those little mistakes out there that can ruin your race, and it definitely bit the number 87. Want to give a big-time shout-out to InVets. InVets aids in transitioning to civilian life, focusing on job placement and finding the right community for veterans and their families to ensure their success and happiness. They are a veteran nonprofit in Indiana with the goal of bringing veterans to the state to live and work. They are the title sponsor of the Sunday Truck Series. Big thank you to InVets and really all of these partners that are involved with Goat Locker Racing. It doesn't only stop in the virtual world that everybody is having fun and helping everybody out. They really are a community that leans on each other, isn't it?
Yes, they went to Bristol this past weekend and had a little GLR meetup, and it was so cool to see the pictures of guys who've never met each other and maybe in real life got out there, had a good time, drank a few cold ones, and got to see a race together and meet meet the guys you race with all the time, meet some people, and they even got called out from the stands. They were all wearing the Goat Locker gear, and somebody said, "Hey, at Goat Locker, I'll watch you on iRacing." So it's cool to see their reach out there. I think they even got a donation from in the stand. So, and that's one thing I do want to mention. If you're watching, if you haven't donated, Goat Locker is a nonprofit. And so if you haven't, go to the website, goatlockerracing.com, click that donation link, send a donation. They are doing awesome, awesome things. So if you haven't done that in a while, maybe a good time.
Maybe we'll have to get maybe a QR code that we can flash up on the broadcast here for them as we get ready to get a restart. Will it be our final restart, or are we going to get more? Are we going to see green, white checkers? I have a feeling it's not going to be our last restart either, Eddie, as Cody McElwain in the number 6 dives it off into turn number 1. Logan Sturgeon right on his bumper, and there's a little bit of a lunge from the Duke there in 3rd place, off onto the back straightaway. Those fresh tires, the furthest forward they are. Jeremy Gardner in 9th place.
Yeah, Logan tried to send it in there, get that position, but man, look at the cluster you're talking about. Golly, fresh tires. You got to go. You don't have any time. You have almost right at 20 laps now to get it done, and we know how hard it is to pass. You see Garner going below Chuck Phelps in that 75 machine, so he is on the move. He's probably going to need every single lap, it looks like, but he is, man, you can see he is wheeling the hell out of it.
Yes, he is. He was sliding that thing, had a big moment of oversteer right in the middle of 1 and 2, and then basically just laid treads like a hoss coming out of 2 there. Was just hammered down. He sees right in front of him. He's cracked the top 5. Patrick Drabick is just a couple trucks behind him, and Patrick is on the next set of freshest tires. So just a true redemption drive from Drabick as Duke gets really loose coming out of turn number 2. There's 3 wide from Gardner. He looks down to the inside. He gets Duke, but the 66 of Jamie Mullins sent it off into turn number 3. It's going to cost him on exit.
Hey, that is the type of move you got to make if you want to win races, and Gardner doing the best that he can. Mullen's going to fight hard here, but I think it's a losing battle, and it's exactly what it is Gardner now with the freshest tires up to third place, Joey, with just under 20. He's taking a drink of his Mountain Dew again. Uh-oh.
You gotta stay hydrated out there, folks, and Mountain Dew sometimes quenches that thirst. As the 42 has a 20-lap better set of tires than the two trucks he sees directly out of his windshield, but we've seen Cody McElwain just be able to lay down aggressive lap times. We've seen him be able to force it 3 wide. Is our leader really going to get the elbows out? It's going to be a handful of laps before anybody catches them, because they got to go through that number 26 of Logan Sturgeon before we even start talking about the lead. Gardner sees a yellow flag before he even gets to second place. It looks like a multiple car incident. I count 4 or maybe even 5 trucks involved. Is that the 87 of Ham?
Yes, it is. Jake Ham involved, Chance Taylor, George Jewell, all involved in this one, and that brings out a caution. And Cody McElwain did not want to see that caution. I can tell you that 100% certainty. He needed that big old gap he had. Let's go back and see what happened. Look at all the trucks that are just everywhere here. Watching George Jewell, see maybe where this happened. Jake Ham's going to get a shove from Chance Taylor.
That's exactly what happens. The 14 just maybe got into the corner a little bit too hot. I don't know if there was something going on prior to this. You see a big wiggle out of Chance Taylor coming up out of turn number 2. Oh, yeah, okay, so let's back it up. So now we're on the front straightaway here. It was already a little bit busy going into turn number 1. You see Chance just kind of way up on the outside of the racetrack. I don't see anything bad yet. I see a big wiggle, but I don't see anything. I really think that Chance just maybe missed the brake marker.
Yeah, I think so. I think you're absolutely right. I was wondering if maybe there was some contact that started that, but yeah, I just think you're absolutely right. Just drove in there and hit the 87 and put him a chain reaction. But to get back to the race, though, I don't mean to cut this off, but we've had some developments here. People have gone down pit road. I think Logan Sturgeon and Jamie Mullins, they both said, you know what, we're not going to win this race on these tires. We're going to have to come down and get this final set. So they come down pit road. Cody McElwain out front is now all by himself inside the top 5 on 25-lap old tires.
I want to talk about that, but I first want to give a big-time, huge shout-out to Nasty's Restaurant and Bar. I know that if I wasn't commentating this race and I was over there in Ohio, trust me, I would be at Nasty's. Starting 2012, Nasty's opened its doors in Hilliard, Ohio, and trust me, from the get-go, they aim to embody the energy that their passionate sons Nathan and John poured into their dreams. Nathan's commitment to hospitality ensured that every guest received exceptional food and service. They are the co-sponsors of Wednesday's Next Gen series. They've hosted numerous fundraisers in the establishment with the goal of raising the funds to donate a sim rig to a deserving veteran or first responder. I love that type of atmosphere. I love going and getting good food and watching sports on the TVs. Eddie, I don't know about you, but you could definitely find me at a place like Nasty's if I was out there in Hilliard.
Yeah, it sounds like a lot of fun. So if I'm ever in that area, I promise you, I'm going to go stop. In just the name alone, if your place is named Nasty's, that usually means it's going to be the best thing ever. And so we know a great partner there. They've shown some Goat Locker fundraisers in their actual bar. People are in there watching, asking about it. You know, sim racing, sort of a niche market. You know, it's a niche thing. It's not like it's super popular. So when people can see these type of broadcasts, especially the ones that V-Speed puts on, and it's almost like, is that real or is that fake? You know, it's so hard to tell the difference sometimes. And so it's cool to have, you know, those type of partners willing to put Goat Locker and this series out there. And, man, just such a cool event.
So as we go back to green flag and mention that pit stop strategy again, I think those 2 trucks that came down and got fresh stuff, I mean, they're not going to be able to make their way up. They are buried back there in call it 15th place. So I think that Cody McElwain is going to have a very, very tough challenge on his hands on 27-lap old tires, but he is the first to get onto the gas. Maybe a little bit of wheel spin, but I think he was more just arcing it into the corner here. Now the 42 has the 07, but he puts the power down. Jeremy Gardner actually has a big-time wiggle coming up off of turn number 2. It's going to be DeSavino looking to the inside of Dravic.
Well, I can tell you right now, the 42 better pack a lunch. It better be a ham sandwich, a bag of chips, maybe a cookie, because he's going to need all of it if he's going to get around this 6 car. I can tell you that right now. Cody is not going to just let him by, so he's going to have to get it done quickly if he's going to get around this 6 car, and he's only going to have about 10 laps to do it. So he needed to really get it done right on that restart, but and he's getting loose again, so maybe being a little bit too aggressive, he might be in trouble himself. Here comes Howie DeSavino down to the inside.
Our 3 winners so far this season are stacked up 2nd, 3rd, and 4th. Can Cody McElwain in the number 6 car hold off these guys that are just fighting amongst each other? Cody says, yes, please. He sees the lap timer or the lap counter click over, about 11 more laps remaining. And as long as everybody keeps on fighting, Cody says, yes, 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 I can just focus on the markers out in front, save my tires as much as I can, because you know they will be to that back bumper soon enough.
I'm surprised how quickly these tires I think these guys have just been racing their guts out since they came down pit road 14 laps ago, because honestly, Garrett Garner and DeSavino has really seemed like they cannot get the power down on the exit. They're trying really hard, but that little slide, and there's the 42 sliding again. So Cody McElwain, I was over there kind of, I built him up. I didn't want to just give him all the compliments, and I talked about how maybe he can't, not the greatest tire saver, but he is looking like a champ right now, holding off these guys with 15 lap fresher tires than him.
I will just draw it back to when we had a green flag run and that number 6 truck was out front. He ran away, but then he got hunted down by a truck that was significantly on older tires than him. So where is that plateau? Where is that cliff that the number 6 falls off? Because he's working lap number 32 on his tires. Jeremy Gardner working lap number 16. So let's look at the hard data here. Let's look at the lap time as they click over start finish. Our leader, 31.27. Jeremy Gardner, 31.23. Howie DeSavino, 31.30. Patrick Drabick, 31.54. So right now, the only immediate threat I see is our 2nd place runner.
Yeah, and I'm actually surprised how close those times are. And when times are close like that, that means, passing is a premium here at this track. It's going to be hard to make it. These guys have needed the tire advantage for that to work. And if they're running similar times, I'm just not sure if Garner can get it done. That time just about.
We've got a yellow flag. Sorry to cut you off, Eddie. David Duke has been turned around on the front straightaway. I had just clipped over on my screen to see what was happening a little bit further back, and the 68 truck maybe came off of the wall a little bit, got into the right rear of the 78 as he had fresh tires, and just what a night for David Duke is kind of turning upside down.
Yeah, put himself in the back of this field. He's kind of leaning on Steve McDonald there to the inside, Joey, and McDonald just gets loose off the corner and just right hooks David Duke into the wall.
And I don't think it was malicious. I'd be curious. My only thing, I think that David maybe could have left him a little bit more room on the front straightaway. Yeah, you called it right. There was just that tiny little bit of wiggle on the exit, and Stephen McDonald just had to catch the car, but unfortunately it also brought him half a lane down, didn't it?
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely on Stephen McDonald there. Once you get to 5 laps to go, everybody's going to be running tight. So I don't fault David Duke for running tight on him. That's kind of what you do late in the runs. I think, Steve McDonald's just trying to fight there and just gets a little bit loose. And, and you can't make contact like that on iRacing. it's unfortunate, but once you do touch just like that, it's just going to send you. So a tough deal there, but man, this front battle is going to be interesting. I think Cody really needed to see that play out. Another restart where Gardner's going to have another attempt at it. The good news for Cody is that everybody's out of tires. So I don't think we'll see anybody, not with 5 laps to go, coming in. So he doesn't have to worry about that. How much of these tires equalize? Can he make them work after cooling down a little bit?
It'll be a very interesting story to see it play out, and I don't think we're going to be using actually one of our green-white checkered attempts here. This yellow flag was thrown early enough that keep those 2 GWCs in the pocket. And really, with how aggressive things have been, we might be using one of these because the drivers know they have a limited amount of time. I see the drivers that have the freshest tires. Remember how I said that Logan Sturgeon and Jamie Mullins, they were completely out of it. They started back in 15th or so on that restart. They now find themselves in 9th and 10th, and with a tire delta difference of about 25 laps, at least on those immediate trucks in front of them. So there's the other kind of strategy card. I don't think it's enough rubber to get them a race win, but it could be enough rubber to cause another yellow flag.
Yeah, I think at this point the win is going to come from the top 3. If I had to try to guesstimate, I think Garner already has a win. He won at Talladega the first race of the season, so he doesn't need a win, but he is very aggressive and wants to put that 43 truck in victory lane. Cody McElwain has yet to get victory lane, so he's going to fight. So, I could see it's going to be between those two, especially on a restart with just a few laps to go. But if they do make contact or get together, that might open the door for Howie DeSavino or Patrick Dravick, maybe. But I think the top 3 is where the winners are going to come from.
You and I definitely agree on that one. Is it going to be the aggressive nature from Cody McElwain, but having to manage the old tires? Or is it going to be Jeremy Gardner, who's bounced off of the walls, right, and just as aggressive himself and laying down the rubber? Is it Howie DeSavino with all of that real-world experience, bringing it into the virtual world here? Or is it just kind of the smooth, calm, collected Patrick Dravick that sits there in the 4th place? Don't count out Necula and Cunningham. They're on the 3rd row as well on just as good tires. So we're getting ready to get it restarted once again for the Veterans for Life Truck Series here on V-Speed with Goat Locker Racing. We've seen the inside lane, call it the pole sitter on these restarts, been able to accelerate away from the field. Does the 55 get a good jump? Yes, he does. It is all in that 2nd row. Can Howie challenge Gardner for what is 2nd place as we come down 2 laps remaining?
Little stack up here into 1 and 2. Howie did not get a great drive from the middle exit, but the 42 did. He is there on the back bumper of the 6. Can he make a move? He's going to maybe look to do a little crossover here, get up under the 6. The 6 backs up the middle of the corner. Couple bumps, 2 or 3 bumps at the come off of turn 4. Not quite able to get there just yet, but he is right there trying to make some moves here and give those bumpers. White flag is out, Joey, one more time around.
It will be settled here. There's another nudge of the bumper. Gardner's out of shape. He's spinning it down the back straightaway. He's out of the race. It is all up to the number 6 of Cody McElwain to hang on to it through 3 and 4. It's a hornet's nest behind, but we officially have our 4th winner in 4 different races. Cody McElwain wins at Milwaukee.
Wow. I did not expect that at all, but I did expect the 42 to go around like that, but golly, what Joey, I got to go back and watch these last few laps, dude, because it's insane how much pressure Cody was under right there. He's already at a huge tire advantage, and then also he's getting bumped multiple times there on this restart. Watch this.
I want to give credit to Jeremy Gardner because he had the opportunity twice to turn Cody McElwain. That was the 2nd time where you see the 42 spin off to the inside and then the the 6 just kind of set sail. But this, I believe it was coming out of turn number 4 on the initial lap of the restart. So watch the 42 right here, the second place truck. He's going to get to our leader, and he gets to the bumper. He is on the bumper, and he has the opportunity to drive through him. He has the opportunity to accelerate right here through the number 6, but he doesn't. He lets off the gas as soon as he gets there. He says, I want to race you clean for the win.
Yeah, and a great bump. I mean, that was in textbook how you move somebody out of the groove, especially as they're starting to get the throttle on exit. They want to put the power down. You get the back end loose. And I think it was textbook. It didn't work. And you're right. He backed out of it and said, I'm going to do it right. And so, big props to him. But on the front stretch, Cody McElwain was burning it down. We'll see we're just kind of enjoying some really good hard racing. You see Goat Locker teammates, Patrick Rabbit recovered for a 4th place finish, but man, that was awesome. Cannot beat that at all.
It was an awesome race. We'll get your official results popped up here on the screen. As you heard, Cody McElwain becomes our 4th different winner in the first 4 races of the season. Howie DiSavino, a tremendous run. That is our biggest mover of the night. I'm not too surprised given Howie's talent out there. Started back in 21st, up 19 positions to finish in 2nd. And another great drive from Jesse Nekula. Remember, we were talking about him being stuck up front on old tires. Well, he made a late race strategy call work, and he finds himself with a 3rd place finish. Redemption from Patrick Drabick to finish in 4th after being sent to the back at turn number 1. Daniel Cunningham with another great drive to finish inside the top 5. Logan Sturgeon in 6th. Levi McCarty definitely got pushed around in the beginning half of the race to finish 7th. Scott Feltz in 8th. Jamie Mullins 9th, and Jake Ham in 10th.
Yeah, in 11th, it's going to be Steve McDonald with David Duke able to recover there after that little contact with McDonald. They come home in 12th, and Tyler Justice in 13th. Brandon Wallace in 14th, Chuck Phelps in 15th, George Jewell in 16th. 17th is Chance Taylor, who this is a night to forget for him. It's just a frustrating, stressful night. Craig Bontrager comes home in 18th. That night's 19th, Dave Cobb.
And in 21st, we have Jeremy Gardner, not representative of the performance that 42 had. Was the last truck to finish on the lead lap. That makes sense. James Goshen is going to be the first truck a few laps down, but did complete tonight's race back there in 22nd. And then, unfortunately for everybody else, that includes Jamie Barkis, Mike George, who was on the front row on the initial start, Jake Ellingson, who always runs up front, Stub Nation, Timothy Stubblefield. They did not complete tonight's race. Ended it on the sideline, maybe getting a chicken sandwich over there. I heard that place makes a nice sauce on the infield. But Eddie, it sounds like we actually have Cody McElwain, tonight's winner, joining us here in the broadcast booth. Cody, dude, congrats, man. Winner number 4.
Thanks, man. I appreciate it.
Was that stressful? Because Eddie was freaking out here in the booth and was extremely impressed that you were able to hang on those old tires.
Yeah, stressful to say the least. When the caution came out with, I think it was 20-something to go. I can't remember exactly, and I didn't have any more tires at that point, and I knew it. I knew it right then as soon as it fell that I was toast. And shocking that I was able to, kind of stay up front there. And then I felt pretty good. We had I can't remember, I think it was the caution before the last caution. I felt pretty good. I had like a half a second gap, and I was able to kind of maintain it. And then that last caution came out, and again, I thought I was toast there. And I got to give a shout out to Jeremy Gardner. He raced me clean there. He definitely easily could have gave me a bump and run there, and he chose not to. So I appreciate him for that. And then just shout out to the whole lobby, man. It was pretty good racing up front. I can't speak for the rest of the field, but really good up front.
So earlier in the race, we saw you get up front and then maybe burn the tires off a little bit. Did you learn from that kind of middle stint and be able to apply it there at the end?
Well, that middle stint, I was actually trying to save fuel, believe it or not. I was about 2.5 laps short, and you know, I was able to get out front. I was on pressure tires than the guys that were in front of me at that restart, and I was trying my best, and I was inching it closer and closer. And I knew it probably looked like I was struggling, but I was just trying to. I was going half throttle down the straightaways when I could, and lifting really early and stuff like that, just trying to get it there. But yeah, man. Like I said earlier, just super stressed at the end there, and can't thank Gardner enough for being good to me at the end.
Well, that explains that. Thank you for explaining that you were fuel saving, because that definitely, I thought you had just burned off the tires completely. So that explains why the drop off in pace. But dude, congratulations. The 4th different winner in 4 races here to start off the Veterans for Life Racing Truck Series. Is there anybody you want to thank?
Yeah, I'd just like to run down our sponsors that Goat Locker Racing here. Lincoln Tech, Hidden Whip Brewery, Cruising Classics, Nasty's Restaurant and Bar, Veterans for Life Foundation, Veterans for Life Racing, InVets, Jam Printing and Promotions, McConey Setup Shop, V-Speed, NASRA 360, the Indiana Department of Affairs, Veteran Affairs, Alexander PCs, Sim Motion, Next Level Racing, iRacing, and Above the Yellow Line. I say it every time I'm in here. We could not do what we do in this great league without all these sponsors, so we cannot thank them enough. And we appreciate what y'all do in the booth, man.
Thank you so much. And that was tonight's winner here at the Milwaukee Mile. Cody McElwain driving that InVets number 6 truck. And I think that Eddie has actually caught up with today's 2nd place winner, last race's winner.
Howie, this is Eddie in the booth. You got a copy?
Hey, how you doing?
Man, I am doing great. After that kind of race, I'm just flustered. It was awesome. You guys were driving really hard, door banging. You and Patrick Drabick about middle way through the race were just bouncing off each other, trying to maintain that track position. What was it like out there? What were you struggling with the most, or what was the track, in the truck combo really kind of giving you that made it difficult to make passes and keep track position?
Well, I definitely remember me and Patrick banging doors. With that type of racing there, that was my first time at that track. Actually, I just bought it today. So I really had no experience on this racetrack. I've been busy all week, haven't been able to really go there and test it out. And the setup was really loose going in, and pretty much everywhere it was loose. So just a few small adjustments and having my teammates behind me, helping me out with some of the stuff like, what we're going to do pit strategy wise. That was huge. But out there wise, it was hard to make passes. It just really was. You would have to drive off way better than everyone else.
Yeah. Well, and we had a lot of different tire strategies. And so what was your strategy coming into the race? You had some folks that stayed out on that first one, and then it just kind of went back and forth. So as that kind of went on, what was your strategy? Did it change at all, or did you just continue doing what your plan was?
Yeah, we just executed our plan essentially. We pitted on that first when everyone stayed out. We pitted because we were already in the back as it was, so there's no harm, no foul there. Filled up, got a little bit of track position. Then the next caution we went in again. Then we had a long stint where we went about 45 laps on those tires, and this track just eats up tires. So we were thankful for that last caution. We put on some 4 fresh fuel goods, and then went back out there and we were able to hold that track position down.
Yeah, well, you got the win at Atlanta, so another good finish here tonight just kind of helps you along the way. But you're already locked into the playoffs, which is a really cool deal. But still a lot of fun. Couldn't get 2 in a row, but a first and a second, not too bad, especially when you just bought the track. Man, congratulations on a fantastic race. Just a lot of fun to watch you guys out there. You and Patrick just kind of going at it. That was a lot of fun about midway through. So, congratulations on a second place finish, and man, who you got to thank here tonight?
Yeah, thank you so much. And I got to thank all my partners and sponsors, Lincoln Tech, Hidden Whip Brewery, Cruising Classics, Nasty's Restaurants and Bar, Veterans for Life Foundation, Veterans for Life Racing, Invest, Gym Printing and Promotions, McConey Setup Shops, V-Speed, all those guys, they make this happen. And especially, Patrick and Jamie Perkins for let me do this. Really got to give out to the Goat Locker guys for letting me be here and enjoying, racing these guys.
right there is Howie DiSavino. We're waiting on Jesse Necula to join the chat. We'll see if we can get him in here. But man, I'll tell you what, Joey, that was I mean, that hit all the buttons. That was pretty good.
It was a great race. Sure, we had quite a few yellow flags throughout, kind of reminded me a little bit of how we started, right? Talladega was a little bit start and stop, but I do feel like we had flow throughout the yellow flags here tonight. It wasn't just yellow flag, yellow flag, yellow flag. We had a yellow flag, and then we had a brief green run where the field would kind of sort each other out, and it was long enough that we had split strategy pretty much from then on out.
Yeah, and then that split strategy I think really helped it really helped the racing. I think we kind of I think maybe me more than you was kind of worried about the ability to pass if we were going to have issues with that. But yeah, I mean the split strategy just made this race entertaining from start to finish. It caused a lot of problems, I think, but that's going to happen in big time sim racing.
Well, a big shout out. We didn't get to do the interview with Jesse Necula, but he had a terrific race here tonight, going up 12 positions to finish on the podium there in third. And we're going to go ahead, close it on out. The next race should be Bristol next Friday. That's October 4th. Catch it at 8:30 p.m. Eastern on the V-Speed YouTube channel and also the Goat Locker Racing Facebook page. And for Patrick Drabik, Jamie Barkus, and everyone at Goat Locker Racing, Adam Baker and Bradley Cooper at V-Speed, and of course, our producer, Eddie Smith, and who can forget my colleague in the booth tonight, who was also Eddie Smith. My name is Joey Atterbury. Thank you for watching tonight's broadcast, and I'll see you at the checkered flag.
Bye-bye.